like champagne. I'm totally vibing. It's true what they say. It's all about timing.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Unscripted. My name is C Chronicles and this is going to be Western Wednesdays. Now if you're joining me on this channel for the very first time, I post vlogs as well as fragrance related content. If you like that style of content, please do consider subscribing and joining the family. To those who are returning, thank you so much for the continued support. Also, remember to leave feedback in the comment section of how you'd like the direction of this channel to go, as well as what fragrances you like featured on this channel. Today's Western Wednesdays is going to have Jeanne Arthes, and what I do is I will, on Western Wednesdays, bring you fragrances that are 3 and above in my collection. So I've got 5 from the Jeanne Arthes, and this is the latest acquisition. And I thought, okay, I'm going to drop this video here. This is Do Brazil, a fragrance that is purported to be inspired by Brazilian crushed Cheriosa 62. So this was a no-brainer for me to purchase. It comes with this clip on here, so you've got to take it off for you to get the atomizer to work. Going to spray it on my coat because I noticed that this fragrance does perform a little bit weird on my skin, right? So opens up with a nuttiness, but it's not as amped up as the one in Cheriosa 62. I was privileged to, test that Cheriosa 62 in a duty-free shop, and I did spray it generously because I wanted to see whether I actually need it. So this is going to open up with that almondy tone, and then there's going to be immediately a tangerine that you're going to feel there. Tangerine is doing a little bit too much there, but there is something then that comes into the mix there, carrying a biscuit, right? The biscuit note is not the one that I have a problem with. What I have a problem with is the florals that come in the mix. I think it's an indolic, a heliotrope, mixing with a terry flower. And then there seems to be a little bit of a clash there, especially when you add that water, that coconut water that they have gone on to add there. I just feel as if it then becomes like a push and pull kind of situation happening there, right? So could be my nose, it could be that this fragrance hasn't macerated, it could be something, but just comes across as too much of a good thing. It also is in that cap where you would put it under sweet fragrances. Just by smelling the nozzle here, you can tell the depth of the sweetness of this fragrance. Just comes across as wafts of something that feels very sweet there, seemingly maybe bouncing off a caramel, but they did not list caramel as a note. I'm just saying there is a caramel vanilla feel that I feel, is in this fragrance, or something that I do identify as caramel, at least to my nose, in some previous fragrances that I've used there. And that seems to be a little bit on the overdosed side, to a point that you can then mixing with that with those florals, and then mixing with the coconut, mixing with the sandalwood, can be a little bit of a push and pull and come across as a little bit even off-putting there. And to put it closer to home, this off-putting feel kind of feels like a popcorny thing happening in this fragrance. Now, am I saying it's an awful fragrance? No, I'm not saying it's an awful fragrance. I can see how some people can totally enjoy this. I can see how it does represent a Brazilian crushed Cheriosa 62 to about 60%. If you love Brazilian crushed Cheriosa 62, you're probably going to love this, but you probably, maybe like myself, going to detect something that is like a push and pull here, something that is a little bit of a clash here, maybe those florals, in a little bit of a tug of war with that biscuit note that could have maybe performed or could have interpreted better if maybe used in more. Now, the pros to this fragrance, guys, are going to be its lasting power. Out of the ones that I have here, this one stretches it to about 6 hours, projecting for 2 hours straight, where people around you are going to be able to compliment you. Now, does it fizzle after the 2 hours? No, it still carries on. You can still feel it, although not in its prominence. So this is a fragrance that's going to be room filling. Offset is going to be a fragrance that you are going to get compliments off, and it's going to be value for money in terms of the price versus what you get. In terms of season, I'm going to say, because of something that I feel is a bit pushy, I'm going to class this one at a fragrance that's going to be appropriate for cooler weather, in as much as the bottle and the notes seem to be suggestive of a fragrance that's going to shine in the tropics and what. This, I'm going to say, go slow. It feels like a fragrance that's going to do better in cooler weather, unless you absolutely love it. But I can see how it can borderline be, what is this fragrance doing? A little bit pushy. Okay, so that is number one. Boom. Du Brazil from the house of Jeanne Arthes. Second on the lineup, guys, is going to be Vanille and Pomme d'Amour, right? The Jeanne Arthes fragrances are, most of them have French names. So if I'm botching the names, I am not French. I try as much as possible to speak the little French that I manage to grasp, but not enough to, be able to mold the tongue to an extent of, sounding like the French themselves. So this I'm going to spray on the coat as well, because it is one that does actually have that magnetic performance on, clothing than it does on the skin. But this, of course, yes, you can wear on the skin as well. It's just divine. This lives up to the name of that vanilla. It lives up to the promise of the vanilla. It is vanilla, guys, mixing with a toffee apple and some caramel. I noticed that the toffee apple is written on their actual website, but it's not there on Fragrantica. So if you go on Fragrantica and you're looking for toffee apple, you're not going to find that. You are going to find apple, right? Not toffee apple. But I do smell a toffee apple here mixing with the caramel, making the vanilla creamy and very enjoyable. This is a gourmand, guys, that lives up to its expectation, an uplifting vanilla, a no-brainer, a fragrance with character. There is a faint fruitiness you're going to get from this fragrance coming from that apple. Remember, I said there's a toffee apple at the top, but there's also apple as well listed in the mid of this fragrance. So it's not going to be just vanilla. There's going to be wafts of a fruitiness there that you're going to get from the apple and a touch of citrusiness. But these fruits are not enough to disturb the theme of this fragrance, which is that caramelized vanillin tone of a fragrance. I cannot fault this one, guys. Great as a standalone, great as a layering fragrance. The only maybe con to this is after about 4 hours, it becomes one that I have to really see if I can smell prominently. So this is going to have performance, not performance issues, but this is going to be one that you may need to reapply, say for instance, after that 5-hour mark, if you will. But you are going to be wrapped up in a beautiful vanillin fragrance, and of course the price is a cherry on top. So number 2, guys, is Vanille Pomme d'Amour. And then we have Candyland. Guys, I wish I could have bought all of these. I would love to have this, collection in its entirety. Not that it's very long lasting. I mean, it's not the sort of fragrances that are very beastly there. And I noticed that most of the Jeanne Arthes fragrances actually leave a lot to the imagination there when it comes to how, you would like them to be beastly. They all seem to be guarded, but you can, of course, smell them. Now, Candyland is a fragrance that I thought to add here, of course, for those who love, candy toned fragrances. So do expect some milk, some toffee, cotton candy in this, citruses, and a fresh aquatic melon. Now, in as much as it says Candyland, this, yes, is going to live to the promise of that sugar accord, but the candy is going to feel more like you are smelling that sugar of the cotton candy than, just being a mishmash of a very sweet fragrance. It also has vanilla and sandalwood there, and the sandalwood works with milk because there is the milk as an independent note there. So if you take the milk and the sandalwood, you're going to have like a lactonic nuance around this candy, tone of a fragrance, which is quite not noticeable there. And I think it is what makes this one more enjoyable. This one, guys, has been likened a lot to Bonbon by Viktor and Rolf. And Bonbon is a fragrance that I use for a long time, and I can see the similarities here, except of course the depth and the performance. This has that young at heart feel, which of course I do get with Bonbon as well, but I think this one amps it up a notch. Not that I'm saying it's juvenile, but I'm just saying it is that promise of a sweet fragrance that's going to wrap you around with powdery accords there, a little bit of some musks. Remember, I said it's sweet, but the sweetness comes across as powdery and watered down because of that melon fruit there that weighs in its aquaticness, making sure that this one does not become toothache. There's also the note of black currant in here that is adding just a faint greenness. So the black currant is not working over time. In a nutshell, it is just a fragrance that's going to be enjoyable by those who love sweet toned fragrances, easy fragrances. On the skin, it may amp up whatever it is that you're already wearing. Say you're wearing a scented lotion and you wanted that lotion to work a little bit extra. This just feels like the sort of fragrance that if you spray it on yourself, it's going to just magnify that and make it a little bit better. For the Jeanne Arthes, I'm going to say the performance is not bad, 4 to 5 hours, projecting for an hour. And this, unfortunately, after that hour is completely gone. It is the sort of fragrance that only people that are within like a meter scent bubble around you be able to smell you, but you are going to be able to to smell this on yourself. It doesn't have that big of a projection. It just is a warm, sugary wrap up that's going to be around you for about 4 to 5 hours. So that is the third one on the lineup, guys. Candyland. Fourth on the lineup, guys, is going to be Sultan Noir, right? Sultan Noir comes in a green box in as much as the bottle is black, and this is the presentation. It looks like something happened to my Sultan Noir. This is definitely something that I did not do. Maybe it dropped from the dresser, but I didn't notice that. But the contents are intact. I've had this one for years, guys. I actually have a full review of it on my second channel, C Chronicles Talking Sense, if you want the extensive review. But I'm here to give you what I can give you. Expect some mimosa, a lightly green fragrance, an almondy nuance of heliotrope coming off this fragrance. And this is the top. It's very, very enjoyable. This gives me classy. This gives me expensive smelling, but it is also guarded. Again, like I said, in the Jeanne Arthes style of fragrances, I do not know why the fragrances just seem to be shy. You know, the fragrances just seem to be careful. I just wish this could push it a little more, and understandably so, maybe because this fragrance draws its inspiration from Bulgari's Jasmine Noir, a fragrance that doesn't do much as well in terms of performance, because I used that fragrance, Jasmine Noir from Bulgari, and I also have Goldier, the Roman Night from Bulgari, which is also kind of themed in the same way. And those fragrances are quite subtle. They come across as fragrances that are calm, good fragrances for those people that work with crowds, good fragrances for people that love gentle toned fragrances. There's a jasmine in here and a rose, but those two are not going to bully anything. So say you were a nurse or something like that and you wore this fragrance, you're just going to have this beautiful smelling scent around you without necessarily it being pushy. So it is quite a shy fragrance, shy tonka as well. You know, the notes in here can come across as intimidating if used in unsparing doses, but in here they're so gentle. So in as much as there is that tonka, do not expect the tonka to be doing too much. One of the best ones here does not scream juvenile, this one, but at the same time does not scream overly mature. It is just a clean, soft, floral that's polite and with an evident almondy nuance that wraps it up from start to finish. So if you're one that loves almondy toned fragrances, then you are definitely gonna love this one. Okay, but lasting power, and for this one, unfortunately, I have to be honest, it's 4 hours, and that is pushing it. That is literally bathing in this fragrance. This I can see being unisex. If you're a man and you wanted to try this, I think this can be safe as a unisex fragrance, as opposed to the three that I started with, that do Brazil, that is super candy sweet, maybe leaning a bit feminine there. And then Candyland, of course, vanilla, yes, maybe that one a man can wear as well as this one. If you're into beast mode fragrances, these are not going to do for you. But if you are into fragrances that are subtle, or you know somebody who loves subtle fragrances, then yes, you can as well go ahead and just buy the entire Jeanne Arthes collection, because they are subtle fragrances. This season is going to do all round, but maybe perform a little better in the heat there. So it's the fourth one on the lineup, Sultan Noir Velour. Now, number 5, guys, is going to be Goupil and Silk. I have a lot of experience with this fragrance. I'm actually going to spray it on my arm right there. Okay, why I say I've got a lot of experience with this fragrance is I do have a fragrance that feels as though this one is drawing inspiration from, which is going to be the Dior's Hypnotic Poison. However, this kind of feels as though it is the EDT version of it, because it is quite guarded there. Expect some almonds, some coconut, some vanilla, loads and loads of mixed florals, but with a nuttiness again coming from the heliotrope. So do expect an almond separately and then a nutty nuance coming off the heliotrope. There are spices in the mix here, especially cloves, and there is that anise, probably to give this fragrance character. It's one that I cannot class as 100% sweet, but there is a sweet tone to this fragrance. So this is not toothache sweet. This is not going to fall under very sweet fragrances, but there is an underlying sweetness to this fragrance. Basically, it becomes a roundup of a vanillin nutty scent that feels like, baked cookies, that sort of thing. Like you put your nose in a cookie jar, and of course that coconut and the sandalwood wrapping up that vanilla into somewhat of a creamy roundup of everything. So simply put, guys, this is going to be a fragrance that draws its inspiration from Hypnotic Poison. So if you like that fragrance and you want something that you can spritz on that is budget friendly, then you can purchase this. But it doesn't come with that longevity of Hypnotic Poison, which in this case, I'm going to speak in the defense of this fragrance, that Hypnotic Poison for some comes across as doing a little too much. So if you find Hypnotic Poison pushy, try this Coupure and Silk from Jeanne Arthes. It's going to give you the same representation, but subtler. So that's it. That is the last one on the lineup, guys, for our Western Wednesdays. Let me know other fragrances from the house of Jeanne Arthes that you'd like me to try, especially from this range. I think they're just a fun, they're fun themed or fun toned. You know, the fact that they come in this these different colors. Just let me know which is the next one that I should pick, and then I'll keep checking with the store where I got them from. Maybe they will stock those, and then we can add more to the collection, and then maybe we can bring them as like maybe 10 in another Western Wednesdays, and then we can then rate them. But otherwise, for now, this is all I had for you. Let me just take them back for the sake of the thumbnail from the house of the Jeanne Arthes. I do hope you did find this video helpful. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications on both my channels. That way you get to be notified anytime I upload a video. Stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye for now.